And there it is, the world famous Fastnet Rock that we've just passed. Now we've turned inbound back to the finish line, which is in Cherbourg. We're only halfway there. It took us about 52 hours to get here, which is a little longer than normal. But that's because we had to do a lot of tacking. It was all upwind. It was all directly into the wind. So that every time you tack, that adds 40% to the distance. So farewell, Fastnet. Next stop, Cherbourg. Mates, we're just coming around Land's End in an hour or so on our way back now to Cherbourg. We're still racing. The race ends in Cherbourg. Well, this morning we lowered the Genoa and we launched our asymmetric spinnaker because we're running downwind at about 130 apparent. And when we run downwind on a heavy boat like this, and in fact all boats do it really, is they rig the preventer. So it's tied around the end of the boom, very close to the end of the boom. This heavy black line that you see there comes forward here to an anti-friction ring, a very heavy-duty anti-friction ring that you can't see behind the sail there. Comes back here, and that's what this orange line is. It's going down the deck there, back to one of our heavy-duty winches, and it's tied off on the heavy-duty winch. And in the event then of an unintended jibe, it would block the boom from coming across, and all of the sheets and all this, the dangerous things that could happen with that. Now some people don't like or don't prefer an alternative, which is instead of tying a boom brake, a preventer at the end of the boom, they attach a boom brake in the middle of the boom, and that just has a line going through it with there's various systems, but very high friction line that will still allow the boom to come across, but hopefully much slower, much more controlled manner, and limit any damage, breaking the boom off the mast, or but it's still dangerous. And if your head's in the way, your head's going to get hit by a boom or a sheet, or there's all kinds of things that could happen. So you need to do some research on that and decide what you prefer, which is best for your boat. On my previous boats, when I was running downwind, especially in rough weather conditions, I almost always had I used a boom brake principally, but on a few occasions I used a preventer. Dolphins looking for an audience. They don't realize we're in the middle of a very important race. We don't have the luxury of frivolity. Hello, Phantom shipmates. I'm going to show you something I've been doing wrong for 10 years that I learned while we've been on this Fastnet race from these very experienced the first mate Pete Cullum and Chris Stanmore Major. So it's something as simple as coiling the line. This is what I've always done on my yacht, and I think that everyone else does the same way. You make a coil and you turn your wrist as you do it. You do it like this. And then this is a full line here, so I'll stop here. And then once you get there, you wrap this around a few times. Times like this, push it up through the hole, and I didn't leave enough room here, but anyway, that many people just leave it like that. I actually push a loop through, and that's how I normally do it. And then I might throw this down into my lazarette or someplace, and so that I can just grab it. Sometimes I hang them up if they're wet. I hang them up somewhere and let them dry. Now Pete Cullum is going to show you how you really should be doing it and why you should be doing it that way.
Alright, so when you have line that's braided like this, it does not have 3 strands that require a twist in it. It comes off a mandrel, and it's actually designed to work straight. So when you coil it, as Patrick's been doing it, and you roll a quarter turn into each coil like that, over many coils, you end up with multiple turns in the line. So when it has to run out, you get the opportunity for twists to get stuck into blocks, sheaves in the mast, etc. So on bigger boats especially, but on all boats, where lines need to run out freely and very quickly, for example, if you've got a spinnaker that needs to be brought down very, very rapidly, the lines need to go out so they don't have any twists in them at all. So, especially on big boats, we flake or fold the rope, where the first line comes down your hand, and the next one goes up your hand. Alternate. And you can do it very rapidly, all the way to the end of your line, and effectively, you've created a flaked rope. You pick up on deck, when it runs out, it will run out freely without any kinks or kinks in the coil. There's one there, right? So you just lay it out on deck flat, but the trick here is to get into a rhythm. You do very, very long lines this way. Instead of rolling it over the same way every time, the way that we've been doing it for years, on race boats in particular, we always flake them. 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, A, B, A, B. It's the same motion over and over again, and you end up with, instead of a coil, you end up with a flake.
And if you wanted to now store that, what would you do?
You would store it the same way that you do with a coil rope. You take your last tail, rig it over the head, go round 3 times minimum. Up through the neck, break it over the top, and it looks just like a coil rope. But if you look at it and you separate it out, it's got almost like donkey ears, one on either side.
Perfect.
So it's stored exactly the same way.
Thank you very much, Pete. Like I say, I've been doing this wrong for 10 years. 12 or 13 knots. This is a 25-ton boat, 25-ton sailboat, doing 12 or 13 knots. We're just fine. Like Ismael, I never go to sea as a passenger, only as crew. The final night of the Fastnet race, we expect to arrive early in the morning at the port of Cherbourg, where the Fastnet ends. And I have to say, the weather is calming down, very nice and gentle now. So it'll be a rather relaxed ending, although we do have to go by what's called the Ras Blanchard, en français, the Alderney race. We have to skirt along the northern coast there, and hopefully that won't be too much of a factor. I have to tell you that this race was actually quite difficult and challenging, and from the tactics point of view, when do you tack, when do you jibe, and because it was all upwind going there, and all downwind, mostly downwind coming back, and you had to make some hard choices, and the weather was rough, and we were doing 3-hour watch shifts out in the cockpit here, so it was cold and wet and windy. And me as a cruiser, I would normally depower. I would, put an extra reef in and make calm things down. But we're racing, so we tried to push it as hard as we could with a new crew. We've only been together for less than a week, so it wasn't like we were racing for the America's Cup, but I think we're all absolutely exhausted. Everyone is excited about getting back into across the finish line into port, whereas I kind of like being out in this place where the streets have no names, and that's good fun. I enjoyed it immensely. I enjoyed the experience. What this for me, the reason I came was, yeah, wonderful as Fastnet, but was to have a real offshore sailing experience in a maxi, in an 82-foot boat, to see how they work and how different they operate. And the procedures are the same, you know, but when we put up the kite and when we put in a reef and all that, the procedures are basically the same, but because the forces are so great on the sheets, on the lines, on the halyards, etc., you can't get sloppy at all, and you can't say, oh, just grab something and pull it in with your hand. In fact, on this boat, you can't do anything but with your hand except pull in slack on a line somewhere. Other than that, there's nothing that you can do. You can't pull up any sails, you can't sheet in anything, but everything has to be put on those magnificent winches. They're huge and very, very powerful. And if you get sloppy in doing anything of that, the penalty could be severe. Severe and you know, potentially demasting, dismasting if you forget to do the backstays properly. So you have to be very careful, pay very close attention to what you're doing, and it is a team effort. I salute our captain Chris, who's going to do this solo around the world. I just can't imagine. The sail, the main sail, weighs 440 pounds. Okay. How do you reef that solo? How do you put it up solo? You know, so he's sailed this boat now solo across the Atlantic, so that was a first test for him. So now he's going to train for the next 15-18 months and then do his around the world thing. So anyway, I'll film again when we cross the finish line and maybe a quick wrap up at the end. But sunset over the English Channel as we head towards Cherbourg. Well, it's 2:15 in the morning and our last night out. Pitch black outside. I'll give you a look at the pitch black. I don't know if you can see anything behind me, but there's the crew is in the cockpit. And a little while ago, the Raymarine asym system died, and I was on the helm. And the captain asked, Patrick, are you okay to steer with no instruments for a while? And I responded, of course. All I need is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And he went and reset the asym, and then we were back on to electronic navigation.
Grinder in, grinder in, grinder in. Change direction, change direction. Change the winch now, please, Sim. Change the direction of the winch. That's it. Oh, good, good, good. Heat up a little bit here. Keep going on the kite, please. Keep going on the kite. Nearly there. Nearly there. A little bit more.
What's the bottom stop?
And
that's a race
relax. Hold. Thank you very much, chaps. Well done.
There's a marker here on the right.
That was excellent. You got it. Thank you.
Okay, this line right here, this across the entrance to Cherbourg, was the finish line, and we just got the horn as we came across. I couldn't film it because I was busy grinding. And there we go. That concludes Fastnet 2025, and that was the 100th anniversary of the Fastnet race. Great fun, great learning experience.
And
I was talking with Chris, and he said, when you want to learn how to sail with someone who's already made the most mistakes. I thought it was pretty good advice.